All right, so welcome everyone to Spotlight. We come to you today from the Monkey Bar, and we have an extremely special guest today. I don't know if you caught all the audience cheers earlier, but believe me, they are well merited. We have with us National Award winner and Padma Shri, Saif Ali Khan.
Hi.
So, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And so many things to talk about.
Ji.
So many things to congratulate you on.
Okay.
A film that's coming up that looks incredibly exciting.
Right.
Rangoon. With a Bonnie baby boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, just tell me what life is like right now.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I think I've been lucky in various departments.
Right.
What I'm really looking at right now is just to have a nice, regular, creative job.
Yes.
And a good experience at work.
Yes.
To try and contribute something slightly special or, constructive
Yeah.
to movies in general, to my own life.
Yeah.
I think Bombay is a very, I think you got to understand that this city is one of the freest,
Yes.
I think, in the country.
Yes.
People
Arguably the
come
world
here.
right now.
Well, people come here and kind of want to sell ideas.
Yes.
And it's a good place for actors.
Yes.
So to take that forward and to
Yeah.
just do something
Right.
that's creative and just fun and you feel good doing.
And Rangoon is all that?
Rangoon is that. Working with Vishal Bhardwaj is generally that.
Yeah, yes.
You feel like a kind of a sophisticated actor. You feel like that you're playing something that you don't initially connect to, but it needs a bit of work to
Yeah.
create that. There's a lot of films you're playing a kind of different version of yourself.
Yes.
But with his films, you really dress up as a different kind of person, and you're somewhat handicapped,
Yeah.
or in Omkara we had the limp, and in this film he's missing an arm.
Yeah.
So they're handicapped characters who have flaws, who have problems, and I think the way he deals with darker characters is something very exciting and cinematic, and probably more interesting than his handling of health and wellness.
Yes, I would argue that. You know, there was a line which I loved actually, which was used to describe Langra Tyagi, and it talked about this rugged malevolence.
Sounds great.
It does. Is there malevolence here as well? Is that something that you enjoy? Is there?
Well, I mean,
control? Is it misguided? Is it?
Omkara was a different experience altogether because it's also Shakespeare based on Othello. So it was Iago's part, which probably the only kind of villainous Shakespearean part that does more talking than the hero in the original play as well. So it was the role. And I think it is, the subject is darker.
Right.
Because it's basically about jealousy and about the mayhem caused by insecurity and that sort of thing. Whereas Rangoon is a different kind of movie. I mean, it is dark, but it's not as dark. It's more to do with a realistic love story where the darkest it gets is kind of over-possessive and a little, destructively jealous, but not to an almost, epic and supernatural level like Omkara would be.
Yes. There's also this sense of this sort of incredible scale, and I remember when I was watching Kamine, for example, that these shots which are just sort of Tarantino levels of just incredible cool, and it feels like this film again just is going to sort of visually also blow up. Is there a lot of that in this?
Yes, there's a lot of that. It's just, I think when you make a film, you have a chance, and when you see it done well, whoever's doing it, whether it's Netflix and American television today, to create a moment of drama, requires a lot of people doing their job together at the same time. It usually starts with good writing, and then the way you kind of present that. Unfortunately, I haven't worked with too many people apart from Vishal, who have that vision and scale or create atmosphere in the scene, and that's something that he does tremendously. So yes, it's an epic love story. I mean, it's you read books and you hear about screenplays. It's one of the few films I've done where you see what happens to a relationship when it's exposed to something stressful like the background of a war, and what a relationship goes through when, you know, she meets somebody else.
Yes.
So it's a love triangle at its core, but also a war movie,
Right.
and also
And
a
it's
kind
always
of
all in the telling,
patriotic
right?
movie.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely it's
Yeah.
in the telling. So he's one of our finest directors.
He really is.
Yeah.
And again, congratulations on Baby Temur.
Thank you.
You must be incredibly excited.
Yeah.
Exciting. Is it fun just being, you know, up doing diaper duty, all of those things?
No, it's
all
wonderful.
over
I
again?
mean, there's a room in the house that, you know, gets incredibly pure,
Yeah.
and it's. I think we're at the stage of our relationship where we'd like to share it.
Yes.
And bringing someone else into the world together
Yeah.
is kind of half hers and half mine is a good.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling,
Right.
and it's a huge responsibility also.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you know, you've got to educate them well and bring them up well, and hopefully teach them the right things. I mean, it's something I'm excited about, of course.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say for the record, and I'm sure everyone's going to agree with me, I want to say that Temur is a lovely name. And,
Well, thank you.
And it doesn't actually matter. Like, it
Right.
shouldn't matter whether I think it is or not.
Well,
But,
it's nice of you to say
yeah.
that.
Were you were you thrown? Were you amused? Were you?
Well, you know, I've known a couple of people called Temur when I was
Yeah.
growing up, and there was no drama
Yes.
involved in their name. It's just a nice name. It
Right.
means iron,
Yeah.
and it's a strong, kind of beautiful sounding name. I mean, yes, I am aware there's a Turkish Mongol kind of ruler who was, you know, possibly a little violent, but
Who
I
wasn't
think
actually?
that was
Yeah.
the whole point, really. And if you want to be a conquering general, you have to be a little violent.
Exactly.
But I want to say I've not named Temur after him.
Him,
There
no.
was Timur, and this is Temur. I mean, they sound
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar. It's a similar root. But the reason I named him was just the sound of the name and a
Right.
family connection, and also to judge the past, but you know, by today's lens is a little far out. And also, a name doesn't really mean anything because, I mean, they're violent people. I mean, Ashok is
Yes.
quite a violent name, but
Yes.
you know,
Alexander.
anyone, really.
And I was just thinking, actually, like, you know, there are, if you look at Hollywood, right, there are actually, and, you know, I don't mean to judge.
Oh, and another point, by the way, sorry, that emperor, Temur, one of his sort of most able generals was his son, and his name was Shah Rukh. So, so if we start getting into what names are right or wrong, we'll be changing everyone's name, like Calcutta Airport.
Yeah. But do you think there are some names that are unfair to inflict, like, you know, for example, Jason Lee?
Or like Adolf.
Well, no, not even Adolf, but like Jason Lee, for
It
example.
doesn't sound very nice,
Has
Adolf.
called his son Pilot Inspector.
Huh. What?
That's his name, is Pilot Inspector. Now imagine if he became a Pilot Inspector. He would be Pilot Inspector, Pilot Inspector.
Well, and also, you know, there was Frank Zappa's daughter's name, Dweezil, and Moon Unit.
Diva, no, his
Moon
daughter's
Unit.
is Diva, Thin, Muffin, Pigeen. Frank Zappa.
Yeah, but there's Moon Unit as well.
Is there Moon
Yeah,
Unit?
Moon Unit and Dweezil. Daughter's name is Moon Unit.
Yeah.
Moon
So-
Unit's up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the thing, you see. I didn't want to name my son something very
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
like, you know, a nice sounding, trendy
Right.
syllable.
Yeah.
Sara is a international. I
Yes.
wanted an international
International name.
name, but also I'm aware that there's a certain amount of Islamophobia in the world today, you know.
Yeah.
And if, as Muslims, I don't even know if I think of myself in a
Right.
hugely religious way.
Yeah.
But if we don't, like,
Embrace-
kind of
own it.
somehow kind of own it,
Yeah.
then who will? In the sense that if I can't name my son Alexander,
Right.
and realistically can't name him Ram,
Yes.
you know, so why not a nice
I agree.
Muslim name, and hopefully bring him up with secular values where we love and respect each other, and you know, so people
Yeah.
meeting him say, you know, what a nice guy,
Yeah.
and that's the end of the name. I mean, you know.
Exactly. I actually think that deserves a round of applause. I really do. All right. So we actually have a lot that we're hoping to do in the course of this show with Seth. There's going to be a few quizzes.
Okay.
There's going to be a few questions of all kinds. He's a huge reader. I confess I'm a bit of a geek myself, so we're going to play on that. But for now, we have an audience. And are there any questions that the audience would like to ask?
Hello, sir. We are missing you as a host on Filmfare Awards. When
Yes.
will you when will you host it again?
I don't know. I think these things usually, when Shah Rukh asks me to, I suppose. They try different variations of people. It's a lot of hard work because
Yeah.
he reports to work at 12 at night. usually to rehearse it. He likes to rehearse all night. So I don't know if you know that about Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, but he works nights more than days. So I guess I'd be happy to. I remember they used to be quite boring, some of those award shows, until
You guys
I think,
stepped it up.
yeah, we tried to have some fun with it.
Did you enjoy them?
I enjoyed them thoroughly,
Yeah.
especially when we reported in an auto rickshaw because we hadn't been paid much, so we were trying to make a point. But
What did your auto rickshaw make of it? Your driver?
no, we drove it onto stage and got out and said, thank you, sorry, we can't pay you, we don't have much money. So it was fun doing that, and a little bit of irreverence is good, otherwise we tend to be very reverential. And, you know, there was a lot of respect to Pandit Nehru Sahab and Lata Mangeshkar ji, which there should be, but so to kind of nudge it into a more modern era and have a little more irreverential fun, I think is important. It's good to laugh at yourselves, and sometimes, you know, we don't do that enough.
And here we have another question.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, do you think you would have received the same amount of fame and love and respect if you were a cricketer and not an actor?
Well, it depends how good I would.
Did you?
I mean, given my talent, probably not. You know, I think it's genetic in a sense that my grandfather was a very good cricketer, and my father was probably would have been one of the world's absolute greatest cricketers if he hadn't lost his eye. But even with an eye gone, he was the best batsman in India in the 60s, which is a hell of an achievement. So I don't think I'm genetically as blessed. I love cricket. I played a lot of cricket. I have huge respect for the game. But, you know, everyone's talents lie in different areas, and I'm happy being an actor. It's also something that, you know, has lasted quite long, and you can get better and better at it as time goes by, and cricket is a little limited to a certain amount of time. So everything has its pluses. I would have personally loved to have been a great cricketer. And, you know,
Is there a movement there, all the talk that there might be a biopic on your...
you know, one of the biggest things, apart from the frightening responsibility of making a film on someone so close to my heart as my father, the first thing would be that how do we make this? I mean, because it can't be a purely Bollywood film or an Indian film industry film. I don't like that term, Bollywood. Because he spoke a lot of English and there was a lot of international things happening. So it would have to be a half English, half Hindi film, a bit of Marathi, because there were comedy scenes like in the dressing room, there were so many different Indian cricketers. Nobody understood what was being said. Yeah. So he needed a translator, you know. So he spoke in English, then he'd say it in Marathi or in Tamil, because there are a couple of South Indians who didn't speak. So biopic would be complicated, apart from the question of getting it right, because there's a lot of drama there. But, you know, these guys, like my father, you know, Sunil Gavaskar, Chandrasekhar, these guys had amazing, like, different body language. Right. And if you watch, like, Mohammad Azharuddin bat, or if, like, I'll call him Tiger, my father, if you watched him bat with that hat over his eye, it was really graceful. Yeah. You would find it very difficult to find an actor to match that body language. So it becomes tough. It's like playing Bruce Lee, you know. How do you do it?
Yeah. There was some rumors again that you had considered, or your mum, I think, had recommended Ranbir or something, but...
Well, I don't think Ranbir can play cricket, or likes cricket. But he has a similar face.
He does.
It's a long face, and, you know, the eyes and the expression. So as an actor, as far as looks go, and of course as far as talent goes, I mean, he'd be the first choice. But again, you'd have that issue of the grace.
And it's that ineffable, you know, that
there's a particular prowl and a walk and a way of standing, which, I mean, you guys won't know. I mean, it's in the 1960s, it's ancient history. But some people remember, you know, at least I remember some things. I didn't see him play either, I'm not that old.
All right, you have a question?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations, sir.
Thanks.
And so is there anything that you faced, like any problem you faced in your childhood and you wouldn't want your child to face it?
You know, I can't say that really. You know, I don't think I did. Except I was quite naughty. And, you know, my father used to call me to study, like an English Victorian setup. The secretary used to come with a silver tray with a typewritten note saying, your father wants to see you. in the study. And I'd go and see him, and he'd be sitting there in front of the fireplace saying, "Are you proud of yourself? What are they?" So I hope, that kind of stuff's avoidable. I once he used to smoke 555 cigarettes, and I used them for target practice, his cigarettes, and I shot them all with an air gun in Bhopal. So there were no cigarettes around. So he hit me with his belt on my bum.
Well, assume that you went to boarding school also in England, that wasn't the first.
But no, we didn't get caned. Yeah. Luckily, by the time I'd arrived, it was a very relaxed system. There was no bullying and no beating.
Right.
But a few years before us, at Eton, there was a lot of caning also. And the headmaster was a fencer. So if he punished you, he used to take 2 swords off the wall, give you one, and literally sword fight in the study, in his study. He used to frighten the hell out of students, like with his sword. It was quite amusing.